World on some bullshit. Microphone check, microphone check. The world is indeed on some bullshit. How y'all doing today? Microphone check. Welcome to Flatland, everybody. You're now chilling with your brother, Bro Sanchez. And we are live and we back in the building. Monday Mystery School, continuing the knowledge, revealing the Baphomet, and we ain't gonna leave no stones unturned. Let's get ready for another good lecture. Hit the like button and share the video. We about to turn up. All right, folks, we're gonna get right into this thing today. How everybody doing? Shout out to everybody in the building. I ain't gonna keep y'all waiting. We're gonna pick up pretty much. This is gonna be a continuation of the stream we did yesterday because I want to go ahead and get into the down deep into the rabbit hole with you guys concerning the identity of the Baphomet. Now I just woke up and I'm just now having my coffee, so y'all gonna have to bear with me. Now, I know you looking at this collage on the screen. We'll come back to it. Let's do a quick recap. We'll come back to that. I want to show y'all how we worked our way up to that point so that we don't lose anybody. All right, we'll come back to that. We're going to go deep on this episode. All right. Now, before we can even do that, let me get organized here with my doggone notes. I'm all over the place. All right, let's keep in mind also that the baboons that we see around ancient Africa are indeed representations of Narmer. We went over that yesterday. We just recapping, and then we're gonna go full speed, full throttle down the rabbit hole. Now, let's talk a little bit about the baboon. The baboon became the Baphomet, and the baboon is also synonymous with a deity called Baal Hammon. Now, when you say Hammon, Hammon was another word for hammer. So I kept telling y'all about the arm and hammer. The arm and hammer. Let me pull up the symbolism for you. Got a lot of collages to go over today, and we're gonna go over them all. In the top right corner, you see the arm and hammer logo, and that arm is holding a liberty torch, or what they call the hammer of Thor. That hammer belongs to a god called Thor, and Thor is also synonymous with Atum, aka Menes, aka Dagon, the Baphomet, and all the deities we've been syncing it with previously. You see the god Happy up there with the bent scepter, and you see the Pope, which is a deity that's in the flesh carrying out the succession of these rulers that ruled us for this past eon, which is the eon of Horus, by the way. Now, you see another fish god in this picture, which is named Dagon. And Dagon was also a form of the Baphomet as well. And yesterday we went over exactly what the Baphomet is. The Baphomet ain't that goat god that everybody keeps saying, look at the Baphomet. The Baphomet is a concept, and there are many Baphomets, And what I proved yesterday was that the entire world worships the Baphomet. You really need to follow this series in its entirety if you're going to grasp the full understanding. Otherwise, you're going to be somebody trolling me, but you didn't hear everything I said. Now, we're going to keep on with this. I don't have to be too redundant on this one because we've been driving this thing home. We know who Minis is. We know who Norma is. We know what we looking at now. This is the third video, so I'm gonna turn up and I'm gonna just assume that y'all on the level that you need to be on. So we when we talk about arm and hammer, the arm that carried the hammer was Thor. There's no identity on that arm. You just got an arm. I'm here today to tell you whose arm that is. That's the arm of the Baphomet. That is the arm of Menes. Now, if you look at this Kemetic pharaoh to the left of the arm and hammer logo, that's a carving of Menes. And that's how you get the arm and hammer logo. But if you look on top of his heads, that's why the Baphomet wear the horns. Excuse me. Excuse me, guys. If you look on top of Norma's head, that's why the Baphomet wear the horns. And that is the McDonald's logo, the golden arches. Now, all of this symbolism, I'm just going over to show you how it's right in front of your face, but we've been missing it. Now, if you look at the hat Norma got on and the hat that the Pope got on in Dagon, you can see this the same religion, same imposters ruling us, and we never left the medieval times. We're still in the dark ages waiting to come out of it into the light. This what we're called the awakening, this awakening movement, this rise of consciousness, that is the enlightenment. Once we're fully enlightened, we're out of the dark age. Y'all see how this works? Once we fully enlighten, we're fully out of the dark age. The dark age, we don't leave the dark ages based upon calendrical time and based upon, okay, man, in 3 more years we'll be out of the dark age. No, it ain't a specific time when we leave the dark age. It's up to us when we leave the dark age, and everyone leave the dark age at their own time individually, but we all will leave the dark age at a collective time as a collective consciousness once the number of enlightened humans is more than the numbers of dumbed down humans. This earth go by a majority rule law. So the reason hell is being acted out on earth right now because the majority is indoctrinated and creating hell on earth. But once the majority become enlightened and back to their true knowledge of true self, then the pendulum will swing. Okay? So let's get back on track here. Let's talk about the baboon because in the bottom left corner, you have a baboon by the name of Rafiki. And that baboon is from a movie called Lion King. And we went over Rafiki yesterday. Rafiki is another form of the god Ra, which is another form of Atum Ra to your right, holding the scepter. Moses in the top left corner is another form of this pharaoh because there was a pharaoh who carried his royal succession in Kemet. His name was Pharaoh Thutmoses. There was a real, listen people, all of these folks in the Bible aren't mythology. It's the Bible is wrong because it changed the identity of them folks, but them was real people. Thutmoses was a real pharaoh that ruled over people in Kemet. The narrative about these people was changed. So we'll get into that in the future as well, but all of these biblical men of power were rulers who became mythologicized in the religious text to carry on their royal succession in the minds and heart of humanity, as well as passing down their wealth and inheritance to their seeds and lineage. So understand that we are dealing with a cabal of rulers who all live on in the spirit because they live on through this deity called Atum, which was the first Pharaoh, and all the other pharaohs that ruled behind him, uh, basically are a tomb, become a tomb upon death. So the name Atum is literally a tomb, a coffin, a casket. Every ruler that is in this bloodline and this lineage upon death becomes the same, become merged into one. So that's why we got all of these deities around the world that seem to be different, but they're all the same. And when you start breaking them down, you realize these are blended deities because there were many, many pharaohs, many, many rulers that came in the flesh to rule on the earth. And all of them were summed up into a few deities that's being worshipped around the world. So there's many of them. We went over a bunch of them in these series, and we're just going to be going over some more here today. But there's so many that I can do this for months, you know. So Rafiki is a form of Ra. It's the same god Dagon. They have the whole world blinded by the light of the sun gods. You find your own light when you go into the darkness of the womb of the great mothers. So our spiritual system is backwards. And like I said, when you have sun worship, everybody's blind because the truth is in the darkness. You are the light. And they got you distracted with the light of Jesus, the light of Ra, the light of themselves, the illuminated ones, when you are a shining star. But you won't access your true light until you go into your own darkness. Just like a seed can't access the light until it go in the ground. Meaning that that seed is a tree. But unless you put that seed in the darkness in the ground, it'll never grow up as a tree to the sunlight and be able to pull in that sunlight through the leaves because it won't get no leaves. And it'll never grow vertically until you put it down into the ground. That's a law of nature here. You want to get up, you got to get down. If I tell you to jump right now, the first thing you're going to do is bend your knees. You can't get nothing if you don't give nothing. Seed got to go down before it can grow up as a beautiful tree. It had to go down first. That's what they was telling you about Christ, folks. This is what sacrifice is all about. Now they corrupting this magic and using it against you in the occult. And they sacrificing organs, kids, babies, and all of that because you got to give something to get something. And they using a very wicked form of this magic. Now, let's talk about the baboon, the Baphomet, Atum, the Pope, Baal Hammon, which is a Canaanite god called Baal, Lady Liberty, Moses, the god Happy, Menes, Dagon. Let's sync all of these deities together. We're going to leave this collage up. And like I said, a baboon became the Baphomet. Let me see if I got a better collage. I may have a better one for you. We're going to come back to you on that. Because I think I got one that I'll show you exactly what I mean. Give me 1 minute. Here we go. We're gonna leave this up here. We're gonna leave this one up here while we talk about the baboon and the Baphomet. So the baboon became the Baphomet, and also a deity that's called Baal Hammon is a form of the Baphomet. And Baal Hammon was the Canaanite god, synonymous with Dagon, and also worshipped as Menes and Kemet, and as the baboon in Kemet. So this was a worldwide deity, worshipped all around the world. And the name Menes and Amen is also when you say Hammon, you're saying you see the name Mun or Amen in that. The god Ammon is the god Baal Hammon. Remember that the H is silent, so it's Ammon. Don't let them throw you off. You see they both raising the arm in 90 degrees. Okay, now this god Ammon, his name also is Menes, and we went over that. And the root word of it is man. All right, so there's a creature called the Minotaur, which is half man, half goat. and that is a form of the Baphomet. Yes, the Minotaur is a form of Menes. So whenever you have a male body or a pharaoh body mixed with a goat or a lion, it's a Baphomet. Did you hear what I just said? Let me say that again, because maybe I need to screen share. Let me show you something right quick, folks. This is what y'all missing. I'm finna blow you away. Check this out. Whenever you have a male or a pharaoh body mixed with a goat, a lion, or any of these animals like a baboon, my audio is low. Okay, my bad. Let me cut it up. Can y'all hear me better? My bad. My bad. Was y'all able to? Damn it. That's why I do mic checks in the beginning, people. You know, I sat up there and did a mic check in the beginning, and y'all gave me warns. So let me ask you something. You mean to tell me I need to start all the way over? Or was y'all I didn't have my mic fully on, so my bad. But are y'all telling me that I need to start all the way over? Or were you able to hear what I was saying? Okay, so you was able to hear it, it was just a little low. Good, because I would have started over. I don't mind, I'll start all the way over for you, even though I'm 20 minutes in, because what I'm saying is important. But good, that's good. If you heard me, that's good. We can keep it moving. Now y'all can hear me better. So now that my audio is better, cool. Let me cut this thing up some more. Just a little bit more for you. All right, let's continue. Let's continue. So let me make my point here. The Sphinx is the Baphomet. Excuse me. The Sphinx is the Baphomet as well, folks. Yes, the Sphinx that everybody love is the Baphomet in reverse. See, the Baphomet got the head of a goat, but the bottom half of a pharaoh of Menes. Let's go to the Baphomet. When you say Baphomet, another name for Baphomet was Bahamut. We finna get into some deep stuff. So the Baphomet got the top half of a woman and a goat, but the bottom half of a male. And that male is a pharaoh by the name of Menes. How do I know the bottom half of this Baphomet is the pharaoh Menes? Because the pharaoh Menes walked around with this erected phallus. That was attributed to him. Here we go right here. The Minotaur, the god Amen, which is Menes, with his erected phallus. He's also takes the form of a baboon. As you can see in the bottom right corner, there's a green baboon holding the eye of Ra because that baboon is Ra. Comedic teachers ain't telling you the many faces, the many forms of Ra. And they ain't telling you because they will have to reveal this identity of Ra that they got y'all worshiping the Baphomet. All the glorification of Kemet in Egypt and the pharaohs is Baphomet worship. So the bottom half of a goat or a lion, excuse me, the top half of an animal, mainly a goat, serpent, lion, is many animals that they merge, but particularly the goat and the lion. That's how you get the Lion of Judah blended with Jesus. But this Baphomet got the top half of a goat, the bottom half of a woman, and the Sphinx got the top half of a man, the bottom half of a woman or a lion. You know what I'm saying? Lioness, or however you want to call it, because the Sphinx is a form of a resurrecting God. The Sphinx is a form of Osiris and Norma. The Sphinx give birth like Jesus. The bottom half of it has to have a portion of it that will be able to deliver birth. All right, keep that in mind. So that's why when you see the Baphomet, the bottom half of him has the Medusa, the caduceus. It has the two serpents around the pole, symbolizes this where you resurrect at. This is a resurrecting God. This God resurrect the dead um, in the ground and take them on a journey through the heavens back to earth. This is called a cosmic journey. When we go in the ground into the heavens, that's what Jesus did on Calvary, went down to go up. That's the symbol of the yin yang, push and pull. So this the code of nature, and this Baphomet represents resurrection to the occult, and that's why it's got the caduceus right here, right in the sexual organ area. Let me give a fat shout out to Willie Lil John. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the super chat. So you see the bottom half, they have the arch, which is the gateway, and they got the dual serpents around the pole. All right, that represents resurrection. This deity saying you're going to be born through me. So occultists that worship the Baphomet, and like if you're a Christian, you still a low-level occultist. You worship the Baphomet and you're born through baptism. There's a reason why baptism got the same root word as Baphomet. Baphomet is baptism, resurrection. And John the Baptist is the Baphomet. We went over that yesterday. All right, watch that, because and the Baphomet became John the Baptist. On the Baphomet became John the Baptist. All right, and on the Baphomet was a fish god, a Baphometic deity that resurrected men just like the Baphomet, brought occultists from the darkness to the light. Masons and occultists have death and rebirth ceremonies just like Christians and Muslims and everybody else. They got the whole world practicing their sick religion. So they got everybody being born through men. Christians don't know that they going through the same Masonic ritual as the Masons. They blindfold the Masons and they make them, what they do is they blindfold them. Let me show you. I'll just show you. What they do, they blindfold a Mason, and while he blindfolded, they hit him on the head with a doggone sledgehammer. Here it is right here. Let me move my logo. Here it is right here. They blindfold him first, and while he's standing up, this dude knocks him down with a rubber hammer. It ain't enough to kill you. You know, it probably is a little uncomfortable because you blindfolded, you're not expecting it, and all of a sudden, boom, somebody just hit you on your head with a hammer. Granted, it's a rubber hammer. They use enough force to actually knock you down. And you thinking you're gonna fall and hit the ground, but it's a bunch of brothers behind you waiting to catch you. And then after you done, they take the blindfold off, and you have this deep connection with them brothers for not letting you hit the ground. That builds trust. And they do the Christians the same way. Instead of blindfolding the Christian, you inside of some water. This is all Baphomet ritual. It's called baptism, but it's still Baphomet. You do the same thing. When the reverend make you close your eyes and they make you fall backwards to go under the water, that water is symbolizing the waters of pregnancy. But who are you being born through? A dude, man. This is transgenderism. This is backwards. You see what I'm saying? So they got you being born through the Baphomet in the form of Christ if you're a Christian. But if you part of the brotherhood, they call it Ryan the goat. Why do they call it Ryan the goat? because you've been born again through the Baphomet. And you don't complete your initiation till you ride the goat. And that's one of the most important parts of Masonic initiation. Just like being baptized is one of the most important parts of Christian initiation. Why are these the main two important parts of these initiations and they both are completely identical? For the same reason I told you yesterday. The whole world is worshiping the Baphomet and don't even know it. The whole world is practicing occult magic and don't even know it. All right? I got to show you that. This is old stuff that we doing, folks. Now, the Baphomet requires for you to go down and be raised up again, to be born again through this Baphomet. And on a biological level, that's exactly what we see in nature with reincarnation. The body goes down into the ground as you are grown again in the womb of your next mother. So your dead body then becomes a seed that goes into the ground to grow your new one. Nothing is wasted. The dead body, what they're calling the corpse, is a seed that is planted 6 feet into the ground, and you are grown again in another reality. Everything is a continuum. That's what this Baphomet represent. But it's hidden behind this spookism and mystification. So that's why I'm just de-spookifying it. So his hands is telling you that you got to go down if you want to get up. You got to bend your knees if you want to jump high. Jesus had to die to ascend up to heaven. And that's what this baptism represent. When you was a Christian, they told you you had to go down into them holy waters and be raised up again as a new body in Christ. But Christ is the Baphomet. John the Baptist was the Baphomet, baptizing people, making them go down and up. That's what the hand's telling you, going down to come up. This is an occult initiation. But the true initiation is what nature created. Can't none of us escape it. Meaning you got to die. You got to go down into the ground like his hand's showing you to grow up again as a child and do it all over again in the next lifetime. That's what he's telling you. But in the occult, all of that beautiful story is hidden. Why they telling you about some doggone heaven and hell, scaring you, saying if you don't pay these tithes, you're going to burn up forever. While in the cult, they learning the truth that energy can't cease to exist. Everything that goes in the ground grows back up just like a dead tree. The remnants of that dead tree become a bunch of new trees. Nothing is wasted. So this is deep stuff. And I'm giving you the different interpretations of this Baphomet science. So the Sphinx is a form of the Baphomet. The Sphinx is a form of the Baphomet. And what we're gonna do here is read a little bit more about the baboon and bald Hammond in relation to the Baphomet. When you say Baphomet, a lot of cultures pronounce it Baphomet. For some reason, while researching the Baphomet, I found out that the P is missing sometime. When they spell it, sometimes they spell it Bahamut. And when I started pronouncing the word Bahamut and feeling for it on my tongue, moving it around my mouth, I started to think about Bohemian Grove. And now at this time, we're going to talk about this Bohemian Grove Isle is also the Bahamut. So Bahamian or Baal Hammond. When you say Baal Hammond, you're saying Bahaman, Ba El Haman. Baal is just the Ba. You don't have to have the AL on it. The AL is mean when the god Al or the god El is personifying the Ba. Okay? Let me show you. All right? Whenever the Ba is a universal concept just symbolizing the soul. But the Baal is when the god El personifies the Ba. And you can see him right there personifying the soul with the wings on, because our souls have wings. We are angels in the spirit. We are able to fly on the ethereal plane. Your macabre is a flight vehicle. You are a flying bird in the soul. Remember that. Now, the thing about a bird is, just because a bird got wings don't mean that the bird don't occasionally walk. Yes, people, birds got wings, but the birds land sometime and use their feet to walk around. That's why all of you are fallen angels. You were flying the ethereal plane as a bird. You landed on this earth plane and now you're walking around, but you still got wings. When you leave this body, you're going to realize you just a bird that doggone landed to take a little walk. But I got news for you. Just because a bird walks don't mean it ain't got wings. We just walking through this place, but we got wings. You're going to take flight when you leave the body. Now, that's what Baal Hammond represent. But again, when they give it to you in the form of this deity, it takes all the beauty away from us, and we start worshiping this guy. And they got the whole world worshiping these rulers, when we all are kings, we all are gods, we all are Baal Hammonds, we all are forms of the Baphomet, meaning that you have a high self and low self. That's what the Baphomet telling you, higher self and lower self. You are a dual creature. You are a yin and a yang. The body, the human, is a unified being. You're a result of a union of two polarities, the high self and low self, the left brain and right brain, the torso and the lower body, the mama and the daddy. You ain't one thing. You're one thing because two things came together, like the yin and the yang. Remember that. It's a symbiotic relationship. So when we say Baal Hammond, we're saying Bahaman. And when you say Bahaman, you're saying Baphomet. And there's many places named after this god, like Bahamas. Everybody like to go to the Bahamas, where the Bahamas is named after Bahaman. The god Bahaman is where they get the name Bahamas. So I'm giving y'all a lot of knowledge today. All right. When you say Baal Hammond, you're also saying Bahameen, because remember, the H is silent. Hammond is Ammon. So it can be Ammin, Ammon, or Moon, or Amin. So Bahaman is also Bahameen, and Bahameen became Bohemian Grove. And they worship the Baphomet in Bohemian Grove. And we'll be talking about Bohemian Grove because another form of the Baphomet is Moloch, the owl called Moloch. And we'll be getting into that. Here it is here. All right. Here we go. They're worshiping the Baphomet at Bohemian Grove. It's called Bohemian because it's named after Bahaman, which is the Baphomet. And what I'll do at this time is go into, I really wanted to pull up Papa Legba and show you, but what I'll do, that's later on in the series. There's an African god by the name of Papa Legba. Let me see if I can get a little bit. This is one of the oldest forms of the Baphomet in Africa, by Papa Legba, right here. I'll be showing you many forms of Papa Legba around the world. And you will see he's another form of Norma with the staff and the top hat. This is Masonic. This is the magician where he carries the staff like Moses and Dagon, and the top hat, which is also the Pope's hat, the hat of the Masons. This is another form of the Baphomet right here. And I'll show you Papa Lekba as the owl. And you see him with the sacred bird. But this is just a quick run through of him. Here's Papa Lekba with the staff, just like the popes carry the staff, just like Rafiki carry the staff. Here's Papa Lekba with the keys. He's the divine messenger carrying the keys, because Papa Lekba is also synonymous with a god called Jane or Janus, the god Ianus or Jupiter Hammond is Papa Lekba. When you see them with the keys, remember that Jesus carried the keys. Jesus carried the keys because Jesus is the same thing. Jesus the same God. I'll be showing you a god by the name of Jupiter Hammond. And I'll also be syncing that with Papa Lekba. What was his name? What was it? God Janus. That's where they get the word janitor from. But remember that when you say Janus, the J, listen people, this is about to get sick. The J is silent. So when you say Janus, what are you saying? Anus. This is a god that gave birth out of his anus, people, because they got rid of the womb. Let me get some straight to y'all real quick. Before they had all of these sick gods, what I'm showing you now, and this is a form of the Baphomet right here. We say Janus, and that's the root word of January. There's a month after this god. It's the first month on the calendar after this god, and it's January. Now remember that the J is silent, so January is really annuary. And if you take the J off of this god name and the S off of it, it become another god by the name of Anu or Anubis. It become another spooky story called Anunnaki. Here we go right here. This is the god Anu. And this is the same god this is Menes, this is Narmer, this is the Baphomet. As you can see, he got some wings pointed down and some wings pointed up. It's the same thing the Baphomet telling you, as above, so below. All right? All of these dudes is the same God. It's the Baphomet. Here he is right here. Look at him holding the one arm up. Remember Narmer raised the one arm? There you go right there. He got wings on him, right? Why does he have wings on him? Why does the God Anu? Listen, this image you looking at is a god called Anu. He's raising one arm in a 90-degree angle and he has wings. Why? Let me show you why. Look at the god Ball Hammond. Ain't the god Ball Hammond doing the same thing? The god Ball Hammond got one arm raised 90-degree angle with the wings. It's the same God, people, that they forced on the ancestors all around the world, and we still worshiping it. This is a male form of Ma'at, and we all know that that's blasphemy. You all know that there can't be nothing but a female version of Ma'at with the wings and the balancing scales. The moment you start seeing males personify the uterus, we in trouble. That's why the world's so homo today and the trans movement so big today, because it started in the spirituality first. That's what I'm showing you here today. Now this god Janus is really the god Anus. You get rid of the womb and you start telling people that they got to be born again through male gods. How else they gonna be born? Through the butthole, covered in butt. Let me stop. Covered in brown stuff. I'd rather come out of a womb covered in blood than come out of some man's buttocks covered in fudge. Y'all like that rhyme? I'd rather come out of a womb covered in blood than come out of an anus covered in fudge. All right? So this god Janus is the god anus, and he gives birth out of an anal hole in his head. They give birth out of their buttocks, just like Brahma. You're in a sick, twisted world, folks. So God, when you say Janus, let me show you something. That became the word janitor. See, a janitor is a groundskeeper. A janitor got all the keys to the whole building, and it can access anywhere. So a janitor is omniscient. A janitor is a cleaner. Don't this sound familiar? Don't it sound like Jesus? Don't it sound like John the Baptist? Don't it sound like the Baphomet? Don't it sound like Allah? Don't you know that the janitors send messages through the school from teacher to teacher because they all throughout the hallway sweeping anyway? They all around the place walking around. They got a maintenance building by every doggone classroom. When I was in school, the janitors was like a mailman too for the teachers. So the janitors is a messenger. They got all the keys to the building and you don't even know they there. You can go through a whole school day without ever seeing a janitor, but all you know is everything clean. The floors look good, the bathroom look good. You know he making his rounds. Don't that sound like Mother Nature? You never physically see Mother Nature, but you see her work. You see her recycling the water. You see her recycling the wind. You see her recycling the elements. So Mother Nature is a janitor, a serviceman, a custodian. Jesus was a janitor. That's why they are, when I say they was a janitor, they had the keys and they were cleaners, cleaning up the hearts of men. So you had a God called Janus, and the God Janus, look what he holding in his hand, the keys. Somebody better hit like on this video now. Don't act like you getting this type of decoding from all over YouTube. Don't front on me. So Janus carried keys like a janitor. Y'all, I do what's called thorough syncretism. All right? That's why you can't put me next to other syncretists and they still gonna get the same amount of shine. So they tend to hate on me. But we ain't here to talk about that. Now, when you talk about this god Janus with the two faces, that is the Joker in Batman. Now, these keys was carried by Jesus as well. We already went over that. All right? And we know what we're dealing with here. But now let me show you something. Jain cosmology is also comes from a time where the god Janus was being forced on people. In other words, we still had flat earth cosmology when patriarchs was taking over. They didn't get to the globe concept till years later, but the patriarchs had been set up shop. We was flat earth. Matter of fact, the globe didn't get popular till just a couple of years ago. The globe is new. So don't try to you can sync globalism and heliocentrism with the rise of patriarchy, but only so much because patriarchy existed before globalism. Globalism is a result of patriarchy. In other words, patriarchy led up to globalism. As the patriarchs tried to tighten their indoctrination systems and spiritual systems, it led up to global concepts. They found out they can dumb us down better by placing the sun gods at the center of a solar system. in the form of a yellow ball burning. They used to have the face of the ruler in the middle of their cosmos with all the wandering stars going around the face of it. And I showed that on plenty of videos. But as they got more vague and they turned Atum into a scientific thing called an atom, they start to get, sophisticated and turn this religion into scientism. That's why I tell everybody science is still a religion. Just because you don't believe in atom in the Bible, you still believe in this particle or this that everything come from an atom, atom, in science. They turned the dude atom in the Bible to a scientific concept. All right. So they still got everybody worshiping Atum or the Baphomet as their point of reference for their origins. Okay. In the beginning, didn't start with Adam. It started with the Taurus field. And we're going to get into that more in the future because the Taurus field is what you're looking at now. This is Jain cosmology. What you have here is the cosmic egg and a series of torus fields within torus fields, all split directly in the middle by a hyperboloid. This is the monarch butterfly and the number 8 for infinity. But the reason it's called Jain cosmology, and I'm bringing it up in relation to this god, his name is Janus. He is a personification of the Jain cosmos. Yes, folks, look at his faces. Look at this sacred geometry. Look at the two faces of the god Janus. Now let's go to Jan cosmology and look at here. You can see the two faces. It's a double-headed axe. In other words, what you're looking at is the top of Thor's hammer. It can also be a monarch butterfly. I'm showing you how this stuff was all corrupted. You better hit the like button. Look at this hammer. It's shaped like almost like an hourglass. You see the shape of it? How it's like the two faces of the god Janus. See how this god Anu shaped like them two faces with the two wings? They turned it into the Red Bull. If you ever drink a Red Bull, look at the logo. Instead of two faces going opposite ways, they give you two bulls. Okay? And those two bulls is another way of saying two balls. Because what are we talking about here? Two-ball cane. Let me show you. It's the same symbol, folks. This is the tubal cane symbol. You got two balls and a pole. This is phallic worship. The two faces would be your two balls, and this brain stalk, this neck part in the middle would be your pole. This is the staff of Rafiki. This is the staff of Rafiki because Rafiki got the stick with the two balls attached to it. This is the two balls or the two faces attached to the neck. It's phallic worship. This is Thor's hammer that we're looking at. So instead of it being two faces attached to the neck, it also can be a hammer with two. It's a double-headed axe, a double axe. That's also Thor's hammer. This is Thor's hammer. Here it is right here. This is the hammer of Thor, but it's a double-headed axe. And what you're looking at is this god right here. This god is a personification of the double-headed axe. The double-headed axe is nothing but the cosmos. Here's the depiction of the Jain cosmology. And during the time when the Jain people was making this cosmology, the Europeans was making this cosmology. So again, everybody around the world was on the same page, but they was personifying it in their own way. Now, the cultures that personified this in matriarchal ways, they thrived and they lived in unison with nature. But the cultures that personified this in patriarchal ways, like what I'm showing you now, you know, the cultures that personified it in Baphometic ways, those were chaos cultures. They was practicing cannibalism and vampirism and capitalism and I got big fish eat little fish and I gotta get energy by preying on something else. So you can interpret the science of the cosmos in different ways. You can interpret it to create heaven or you can interpret it to create hell. When you interpret it to create hell or Helios, it's by personifying the cosmos as a man because men represent the destructive energy. Women represent the constructive energy. You need them both, but if you're gonna be having a government system, I think the one that need to be at the forefront of the spiritual institutions and of the government systems would be the feminine or the matriarchal aspect. That's why all the ancient cultures had great mothers at the foundation of their government governing systems and spiritual systems because the female is directly related to the spiritual, to the intuitive realm. The male is directly related to physicality. So we are builders. We lay down the bricks and cut down the trees and build up the house. But guess who does the architecture? The one with the arches, the curvy one, the feminine one who got all the arches. So in the old days, the women were the architects and the men went and built the building that the women drew out. That's why when you look at buildings today, the architecture look feminine. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. Let's just, for example, let's just look at something. I just put up something random. I'm going to go to some Roman architecture. Look at the architecture. It's feminine, people. It has a feminine feel to it. Look at these columns and the elegance of it. It looks girly. You know, the way the columns are all ruffled up. Like this look like some a woman will wear on her blouse or something. All of this architecture is feminine. Architecture is feminine, people, is what you got to realize. Look at it. The spirals and the curves. This is feminine. This look like a woman did this. But you know a woman can't build. A woman ain't lift up no bricks and did all that hard work. But it looked like a woman designed it. Why? Because architecture was always the woman's job. The building part was the man. The woman is the blueprint on all levels. She represents the great architect. And Nut personified the ark by bending her body over Gail. See what I'm saying? Man, we are the manifestors. We're the builders. That's why we're the masons. We're the sons of the ma. We're the ma sons. And we lay the brick for the mama. But she got the building plan in mind. All right, so not to get off subject here, but I'm showing you that construction is founded upon feminine principles because the construction of the cosmos is a uterus. That's what this acts represent. But once they delete the woman, you don't get the female reproductive system anymore. Once they delete the woman and take this away, they got to do it by hiding it. How do they hide this beautiful organ? Look at this, people. The creator designed this. And this is beautiful technology. This is a beautiful organ. You just need to stare at this a minute and realize how much work the Most High put into this organ. Women, acknowledge your body and be grateful for the science and the technology that went into building you. Look at this beautiful organ. The only way you can hide this beautiful organ is by personifying it. And let me show you how they do it. The only way you can hide something that beautiful is by turning it into something this ugly. Women, this is how the diva became the devil. Everybody worship you, women, in the form of the great diva or the great mother. And they turned you into the devil, and now you're a walking mat, women. And it ain't two men on here to, it ain't too many men out there here to speak up for you on a spiritual level like I am, women, because they scared of being called a feminist. They scared of being called a sissy. They scared of being called a simp or a nigga with a cape on. Call me all of that because I come out of a womb and I want to ensure that if I'm going to be reincarnated again through a woman, that you treat these women like something. You niggas is crazy. The ancestors said reincarnation is real. So why the fuck when you put the women on a pedestal, you got to come back and live inside of their body, you fools. You got to come back and live inside of that woman that you beating on, you idiot. You got to reincarnate through that womb that you desecrate, you fools. Now, the only way you can hide something this beautiful as the female reproductive system is to personify it as a beast. And that beast became a god called Bes. Let's talk about him. There he is in the bottom right corner in the form of a baboon. That is the god Bes in a baboon form. He is a dwarf, and that's what the baboon is, the dwarf. Now, we're going to talk some more about Bes and bestiality or bestiality because we didn't arrive to this sick state until we started desecrating the woman. The womb is what balances everything out. When you take that womb away, niggas start thinking of all kind of sick shit. Having sex with animals, having sex with cows, having anal sex. Why is anus, why do we have so much anal sex today? Because we all under the God, we all under this God right here. This is the Baphomet. I keep telling you, the God name is Janus. This God's name is Janus, which is another way of saying anus. This God represents the worship of the male's butthole. This is sick stuff. The god Janus, because the J is silent, is really the god Anus because they took the womb away and these gods gotta give birth through anal cavities. Because when you take away the birth canal and put the man in place of the womb, only thing he got is an anal canal. So they had a god called Janus to represent the male's butthole and people being born again out of a doggone phallus, which and a butthole. It was one or the other. In some cultures, you was resurrected out of the king's phallus. In some cultures, you resurrected out of the butthole. In some cultures, they cut a hole in his head and you resurrected out the top of the hole in the head. In this culture, that's exactly what they did. They made two heads and they put a little opening in the middle and said that's what you resurrect out of. Now, if you look at this little opening, what does it shape like? We went over it yesterday. What is this right here? This is the delta. This is the Nile River. Let me show you how sick this is. Every river system have a delta. Every river system is fed from a womb. The Mississippi got one. All these river systems around the world is fed from a womb called a delta. You came out of a delta in between your mama's legs and it's shaped the same way. This became the Egyptian lotus flower. This is the lotus flower, symbolizing blossoming life. Right now, the god Happy represents this whole system of the delta feeding the Nile. And that is blasphemy because this is a feminine aspect. This is a womb. So why is the god happy personified it? Because I told you happy is the Baphomet. Okay? So remember what you're looking at here. Every river system got this. This is the female womb. There's an airline called Delta, and they got this triangle. This is a womb. But what you see here is that womb on the top of the head of a man and the river system being right here. See, when Moses took that staff and split the seas, it was all cosmology. You got the Nile River being fed from the great mother, which is the Delta, splitting the whole continent. It's splitting the seas. And that's what the cosmos is. On a macrocosmic level, the North Pole is a big old cosmic river that's splitting the entire cosmic egg in the middle, like the Nile River. So here's the delta, and it's being fed down a pole, and another delta at the end. So there's two deltas, one at the top, one at the bottom, and the water comes from one and being filtered through the other one all around the cosmos. But it's not liquid water, it's magnetic energy being recycled around a torus field. So you see the two openings at the top of it. This opening at the top is the same as this opening. This opening called a delta is the same as what they're giving you on a cosmic level. That's why the cosmic journey was also synced to a Nile River journey. Many Kemetic priests tell you about the celestial journey down the Nile. They're not talking about the physical Nile. They're talking about the spiritual Nile, which is the North Pole. All right? All ancients built their villages off of a main river system, and they looked at that main river system as a microcosmic version of what's happening at the North Pole. How everybody fed their villages from that river is how all life feeds itself from the magnetic energy being spewed from the North Pole every second, every millisecond, creating every moment. It's an endless river system feeding us the energy that we're able to make up life with. Magnetic vibratory energy. This is what creates the elements, and in return, the elements creates us. So it's a trickle down effect, starting with the center of magnetism, which is represented by this hourglass in the middle. Okay, so you have the double-edged axe. Let me see where we at with this. We see how the female reproductive system was corrupted, and now the female reproductive system is personified by the male, and not just any male, a scary male, to hide the truth of how great the woman is and how the women are able to resurrect souls from the dead through their body. The woman is a portal. See, if everybody knew this, wouldn't nobody be scared of dying. You wouldn't be like, man, I'm gonna burn in hell if I don't do what Jesus is saying, if I don't pay my tithes and do right. No, you understand that you don't have no fears. When we leave a body, we enter another body, being our mother, to create a new body. You hitchhike. You're a cosmic hitchhiker. When you're outside of your body and you ain't got no body, you hitchhike on a mother's. That's what these babies are. They're cosmic hitchhikers. These are people who left their body. They only exist as pure invisible magnetic energy. So since they don't have no body, they hitchhike, and they find themselves inside of the womb of a mother, so they can hitchhike in her body to build their own body. It's just like you need a ride, you hitchhike, You get a ride from somebody else, they taking you to your car. All right, you got a car, you just can't get to it. So you hitchhike, you get inside of somebody else's car and they take you to yours. That's what a baby is, a cosmic hitchhiker. It got a body, but it just can't get to it without the mother. She's the vehicle that gets you from one body to the next body. So the woman is the portal. She's the vehicle, right? Because when you leave your body, you enter her body to make you a new body. And if you can't go inside of her body and prepare a body for yourself inside of her, there is no hitchhiking. There is no souls transitioning in between physicality and the ethereal realm, because the woman represents the middle point to transition that invisible energy to physical energy in her womb. So once we start desecrating the womb, we're closing the gateway. And what'll happen is when enough women start asking for abortion and we ain't having no more babies, what'll happen is when people die, you'll wander the ethereal plane. You basically locked out of the gates. See, the soul don't have a physical experience outside of the earth. It don't know how to calibrate itself outside of a physical experience. In other words, the soul outside of physicality knows all and exists in a God-like state, but that is kind of a lonely state. The journey of the soul back and forth from physicality and invisibility is one remembering and forgetting that it's God, falling asleep and waking up. So when you leave the body, you wake up to your God self, and you're no longer in the flesh. You're no longer bound to the elements, but that don't mean you're greater than the physical realm. It's a 50-50 thing. That's what the Baphomet represent. Because you now only are a spirit and you have no physical existence, guess what? You're incomplete. It's like a man without a woman or a woman without a man. Everything is about the unity of the polarity. That's what the yin yang represent. The Baphomet broke that unity. That's why you see him with the two sides of the yin yang separated. See, the Baphomet was a creature that was created by occultists based upon all the natural laws and principles of the uterus and reincarnation and manifestation. They know the truth, but they corrupted it to create chaos and to create order out of that chaos. Divide and conquer. Let me show you something. This is unity, people. This is when you take both of the polarities, man and woman, and you put them together to complement each other in unison. And you get a beautiful symbol like this. But when you break them apart and you create divide and conquer and order out of chaos, and you divide these symbols, this is what you get. You get spookism, fear, Baphomet talk. And here it is right here. This goat divided the yin from the yang. This goat divided the man from the woman, the child from the parents. This goat represents the modern governing system that divided everything. It divided the children from the parents, the previous generations from the future generations. Can't nobody relate. Every year it's a new trend, and they separating the minds of the youngsters from the minds of the oldest so they can get control over the young, and you won't be able to relate to your parents. You'll say stuff like, mama, that's old stuff. This is new. So the symbols of the old world connected the past, present, and future. When no such thing as a young child telling a senior, well, this new stuff, your generation gone. Because the symbols didn't change. And the past, present, and future was connected through these symbols. But when these symbols was corrupted by gods like this, everything divided. The past divided from the future, the present divided from the past, the children divided from the parents, the mother divided from the father, the husband divided from the wife. The womb is divided from the phallus because men rather have sex dolls and masturbate. And when they do get a woman, they rather put it in her anus or in her mouth. So the womb is divided from the phallus. The human being is divided from Mother Nature because you experience nature from inside of your house on TV. You'll turn to a channel and say, oh, this is therapeutic. Look at them beautiful trees and look at them butterflies flying, when all you got to do is cut the TV off and walk your ass outside. So we're separated. We divided and conquered on a fractal level in all aspects. And that's what this Baphomet represents. The separation of the yin from the yang. The separation of the high self from the low self. When they're supposed to work in unison so that you access the central self. If you look at a guy trying to tightrope, if he don't balance that stick right, he'll fall. And he got to go from left to right. So you got to be balanced. And that's what the Baphomet represent, is imbalance. Because this would be balance right here. Both of the scales balance evenly, complement each other in unison. Once you start tilting the scales and you let one of the scales be raised up and one of the scales be raised down, you get this creature. So even though it represents as above, so below, they're representing that universal principle. Basically, what the Baphomet is telling you from an occult perspective is, yes, we understand the universal principles of as above, so below to a degree where we're going to use them against you. And what they telling you in their symbol is, if we carry out a script in synchronicity with the stars, we can control the entire world. See, this is why people look at certain things happening on TV and they use astrology and numerology and all that to sync these events up with the Bible and all that. Because history began to repeat itself once they put a skip in the record. See, the lunar calendars were cycles of time. The solar calendars is linear time. So with the rise of Baphomet societies under the god Menes, what you had was the birth of solar calendars and lineages. Today we have a timeline. Before that we had a time circle, and time resetted itself just like a clock. If you look at your clock, it's a circle. So why in history do they give you a line? Because that line that they're giving you for the historical timeline is actually a lineage or lineage starting from the first pharaoh, which is this creature here. He split the doggone timeline. Let me show y'all something. It's hard to teach this stuff because it's so complicated at times. Remember this, Jesus split the timeline. The split in the timeline is what the Baphomet telling you. All right, remember this, the yin yang represented time. It represented the cycles of time. It represented the sun and moon and the balance of it. When they split this, they came with new calendars, Gregorian calendars. And it started with day one. And they started counting time all the way up. Matter of fact, it didn't start with day one. I'm sorry. It started with year 3100 BC was the first year that written history started, which was the year that Narmer rose to power and the first family established themselves, with the beginning of written history, which starts with in the beginning with Adam in the Bible, would have been the same. 7,000 years ago would have been the beginning of the Garden of Eden. But 7,000 years ago was really the beginning of the first family setting up the New World Order. So Adam in the Bible, God giving Adam dominion over the women and children and over the animals, is basically how the Pope get his power, because Adam is Atum, or the Baphomet. This is why all the world leaders are worshiping the Baphomet, because it starts with Adam, Atum. This is Atum, this creature here. This who split. Remember, when we left the Garden of Eden, that was called a great split. And that split where we left vegan societies and went into meat-eating societies in linear time, we call it BC and AD. And you can call it before the Baphomet and after the Baphomet, because Jesus is the Baphomet. Jesus split time. And that's what the Baphomet's showing you right now, a split in time. The Baphomet got the sun and moon split, showing you that we went from lunar time to solar time. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. The yin yang represent lunar calendars and cycles of time. Why do you say that, Brother Sanchez? Because the moon has cycles. The moon resets itself. The moon has phases. So the ancestors had lunar calendars because the moon is the mother. The moon is greater than the sun because the moon acts as the mother of the sun. It sits above the daylight. I don't know if y'all know that. Daytime is shaped by nighttime. The night sits above the day. And just so I don't confuse you, you can look at it this way. When you go outside during a bright sunny day, if I was to put you in some kind of rocket or airplane, you can go so high up that it'll be nighttime, because all there is darkness. And what you call in daylight is just a little bitty bubble in the darkness. Just like you see this white part of the yin yang, this is a little bubble inside of darkness. This is not a 50-50 symbol. This symbol is not 50-50. It's more darkness than white. The dark is the outline. It houses the white. What you're looking at is a sperm cell inside of an egg. You're looking at Gab inside of Nut. So it ain't 50-50, it's more like 60-40, because the darker half is also part of the outline as well. This dark half extends all the way over to create an outline around the white portion. So the dark half is like the mother and the white half is the baby. This is the ancient Madonna and child, because what you got is the baby. Let me show you something. Here is the yin yang right here. Here go your yin yang right here. All right. You got the baby being enclosed by the mother. So it ain't 50-50. It's like 60-40. Because the mother serves as the barrier or the house for that baby. And when you look at the yin yang, you're looking at the same thing. The white part is the new life or the new light, the baby resting. And the dark part is the mother and her pregnant belly housing that baby. So the yin yang is deeper than y'all think. It's the same thing. It's more like 60-40. But to get back to what I'm saying, they disconnected the baby from the mother by taking away the great mother from the spiritual systems. They disconnected humanity from Mother Nature by giving you sun gods in replace of Mother Nature. Because everybody revered the womb and everybody revered the earth before they came with this Baphomet sun god corruption. So no one no longer revere the earth and the womb. They revere the churches and the mosque, the lodges. They revere the gods, the Baphomets. And no one respect the truth that none of us would be living and breathing right now if we didn't come from in between our mother's legs. We don't got no respect for the earth. None of us would be living if the earth didn't provide us water. Yet our river systems and lakes is polluted and the churches is immaculate. You can eat off the church floor, but the water you drink is polluted, full of filth, because we got more respect for man than that which sustains man. We got more respect for the creations of man than we do the creator who created everything. So I'm showing you how we get to that point by desecrating a woman. Only way you can desecrate the woman is by turning the female reproductive system into something other than the female. Listen to what I'm telling you, folks. It's called the female reproductive system. So why would you be in a world where males personify a female organ? Let me show you now. I keep showing you these male gods. Let me see some. There was another god by the name of Zeus Ammon. And he's another form of Baal Hammon. Here we go. Here's another form of Narmer. If you look at this god, he is the Baphomet. This is the Baphomet. This is Jesus. Jesus is the Baphomet. And his name used to be Jupiter Ammon. Look, didn't the Rams just win? Now, I don't watch sports, but get in the chat room. I'm going to take a quick break real quick because I'm getting tired. And we'll come back and we're going to put in some more work. I need me about 5-10 minutes, people, please. Because I've been going in for an hour and a half straight, and I need to rest my voice for just 10 minutes. And I'm going to get right back into another hour and a half for you. There will be a debate going down today between me and Vegan Warrior on the Out of Africa theory. Vegan Warrior says that we're stupid for not believing the Out of Africa theory when there's much more evidence to support that than what we are saying. So I accepted his debate offer. There will be Bro Sanchez versus Vegan Warrior debate on Out of Africa theory at 4 o'clock today, Pacific time, on this channel. We're taking a break, guys, to get in some commercials, take some super chats, and also to ask my chat room who won. Because I think the Rams is doing pretty good, and people keep talking about the Rams today. And the reason they doing that because of this is the Aeon of Horus. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams win the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not telling you to bet your money. I live in Vegas. I'm going to go and bet me a little $100 because I just got into the numerology, the sports thing. I've been into the occult knowledge, but I'm now realizing you can make some money knowing this stuff if you go and bet your money, because the football games and all of that is occult. All of these football team logos is different deities. The eagle is Horus. The Bengal is Zorro. I can break down each team logo and show you how it's esoteric science. The Rams is Zeus Ammon. The Rams is the Baphomet, because St. Louis was a saint, was a real dude a bishop, and he took the form of a ram. St. Louis was a powerful ruler who also was the Baphomet, just like Menes. So the Baphomet is a title, just like Christ is a title, just like King is a title. The Baphomet is a title. And St. Louis was the Baphomet. So when they say St. Louis Rams, the arch is in St. Louis. This is all esoteric science. What other city did the Rams go to? Los Angeles, because it's the city of the angels, the archangels. Look at people, they acting out a script right in front of you. St. Louis has the arch, and they had the Rams. And then the Rams moved to Los Angeles because the arch is related to the archangels, and Los Angeles is the city of the archangels. Los Angeles is the archangels. Okay, the archangels, with Jesus being at the center of the arch, surrounded by his angels, his gate guards, archangels. And it's 7 of them. So the Rams being in Los Angeles and St. Louis is esoteric science. Just like you got the Cardinals wearing the red, and we know that actual Cardinals wear red. When you become into the Vatican and you become a bishop, when you become a Cardinal, you wear red, just like the St. Louis Cardinals. Why did the Cardinals have their team in St. Louis? All the teams that's associated with the saints and the Vatican and the bishop have mascots that's associated with it. Like the Cardinals is a bishop, the Rams, the arch, the angels. Everything is being acted out right in front of you. Why do you think the Philadelphia is the Eagles? Because the eagle is Horus, and Phila is the phallus. People, don't get me started. I'm supposed to be taking a break. Now, when I get back from this break, we're gonna go into Jupiter Hammond, and we're gonna continue to reveal the many, many identities of the Baphomet. So all of the teams that's playing now, they got the Saints, they got the Rams, they got the Patriots, they got all of these teams with the logos that's associated with the founding fathers and the royal families, the first Pharaoh Narmer and the Baphomet. They telling you a story in the sports arena right now, because we're in the aeon of Horus, and the sports is gonna be acting out that shit on an occult level too. Everything is rigged. That's why they got Kaepernick wearing a number 7, which is the 90-degree angle bend of the god Narmer, and kneeling on his knee. Because listen, people, this is all divine feminine desecration. The vagina canal. When you say canal, guess what you're saying? Let me show you something. Let's pull up the God Happy. I know I'm supposed to be taking a break, but let me do this before I take the break. Now, the God Happy represents the Nile River. But guess what? Another way to say Nile is kneel. So you see the God Happy kneeling. The Nile River is the Nile River. Kneeling because people worship these rivers based upon the macrocosmic connection of these rivers. All of these rivers, what make them flow is the North Pole. If the North Pole was to cease to exist, all the rivers on Earth will stop flowing. What's causing the water to move on Earth? The energy at the North Pole is recycling all the water. So the rivers are connected to the spiritual source, and the ancestors knew that. That's why the most expensive property today is riverfront property. If you want to live by a river with flowing water, you got to pay some money, baby, because it's high energy in these areas. The atmosphere is cleaner. You got constantly flowing water. Now, the God Happy is a male personification of the female vagina canal, because the ancients associated the Nile River to the vagina canal of the female. Let me show you. And after I show you this, we'll take a break. Here is the female reproductive organ. You see how you got a triangle at the top right here? This is called a delta. This little triangle right here, this is called a delta. From this triangle is a long canal. So you got a triangle hooked to a canal system. Now let's go back to the Nile River. You got a triangle hooked to a canal system. This Nile River is the female reproductive system, starting with the triangle or the delta, the uterus, and then going down, connecting to the vaginal canal. Let's go back and do it again. Here's your uterus, which would be the delta. And the delta is connected to the canal, feeding the rivers and all of the river systems through the main one. So this is more than, see, the Kemetic priests ain't breaking this down the way I'm breaking it down, because they're helping the government hide the beauty of the woman. They don't want men seeking this to the female body. They want you to say, yeah, man, because God happy is the shit. God happy is all of that. God happy is a gay ass she-male. Look at him. Look at his hair. Look at the flowers in his hair. Open your damn eyes. They are fucking giving you the Baphomet in different ways, and we're not waking up. This is a she-male. Look at him. He looks like a woman, not a dude. Look at the facial features. Look at the one eye. That's the all-seeing eye of Ra right here on this picture. Why is the God happy showing you one eye? Because he's telling you he is a form of the Baphomet, and he also replaced the Great Mother. Why is the God happy always associated with fishes? Because he's just another form of Jesus. Jesus was associated with fish too. Jesus fed all the people. And guess what? Look at God happy feeding the people. This is where they get the story of Jesus from. Jesus is the God happy feeding the people with the fish and the bread. Look at the artwork. All of these deities is the Baphomet because they she-male deities trying to give birth like a woman. Talking about you gotta be born again through me when you're a dang on man. So this God happy is another she-male Baphomet deity like Jesus. Look at him, fruit itself, long hair with flowers in it, skirt on, telling y'all. And the reason they said Jesus fed everybody is because God happy represents the Nile River. And guess what, folks? The Nile River fed all of the Nile Valley civilizations. If the Nile River dried up, they crops are failed. If the Nile River didn't flow, they couldn't plant crops. They wouldn't have water to drink. They would die. So the Nile River being personified as happy, feeding the people, is telling you that the people was fed by the Nile River. But that's only telling you the microcosmic story. The macrocosmic story of the Nile River is this right here. People, all of this stuff can be interpreted in micro and macro. So the macrocosmic journey of the Nile is the female uterus and the waters of pregnancy that flows out of this canal. So when you say canal, you're saying ka-nil. Just like when you say pineal gland, you're saying pineal. Okay? And I'm going to break them down to you. One is dealing with the root chakra. One is dealing with the crown chakra. The canal is the root chakra because the canal is the canal of the mother. Everyone have a root chakra, but on a biological microcosmic level, the vaginal canal is a biological root chakra. It's the physical manifestation of a woman's root chakra, and it's what keeps life going onto the earth. Think about it. What does roots do? Without roots, we wouldn't have trees. Without roots, we wouldn't have plants. Without roots, we'll die of starvation. So you need the root chakra aspect because the roots is what anchor us. See, when you leave your body, You like a ship that's in the cosmic ocean and you going whichever way the ocean water flowing. That's another way of saying, let me show you something. Because I'm all over the place, but I'm going to bring it back home. If you look outside of Egyptian cosmology, you see dudes on boats sailing around Nut Body. It's not liquid water, it's magnetic energy that behaves like water. Your body is a form of that, and it's your own little boat, and it travels around this cosmos until it finds its next plane of existence, and then it enters and it walks upon one of these different planes right here. So you got all of these planes of existence stacked upon each other. When you leave one of these planes of existence and they put you in the ground, what happens to your spiritual energy? It's drained down the middle of this shit, down the middle of the pole. When they plant you in the ground, your energy exits the earth through the bottom of the ground. It's drained out through this part. It entered through the sky vault. You entered the earth, and your spiritual energy entered your mother to join one of these planes of existence through this upper vault. But when you leave, your spiritual energy gonna leave this bottom vault, and it's gonna travel around this cosmos until it find one of these planes that properly fits it, where it can calibrate on for another existence. And it's an endless journey. Endless journey. So what I'm saying is that when you hear about the cosmic journey and the celestial journey of the Nile, it's not talking about the Pharaoh getting on a boat and traveling up and down the Nile River. That's a surface level. When we talk about the celestial Nile is the uterus. So whenever you hear that term, you may want to correct some of these Kemetic priests. If you look at the earthly Nile, of course it's a river system, but the ancients linked all river systems to the celestial Nile, the macro Nile, which is the female reproductive system. Why? Because every river system on earth shapes like the female reproductive system. So if that's true, why do we have the God Happy personifying it? Shouldn't we have a female personifying it? Yes, we should. Yes, we should. And that's why I'm doing this video. So now that we got that out the way, journeying, taking your celestial journey through the Nile has nothing to do with getting on a boat, going on this river. Has everything to do with reincarnating through the river systems of your mother, her body. So the Nile is canal. The Nile River is the canal river. The word canal or canal, from vaginal canal, when you say vaginal, you're saying vaginal or canal. Your ka is the spirit. Your ka travels the Nile River when it's born again. No, your spirit ain't in Africa on a boat. The ka Nile is the vagina, the celestial Nile. Now go and teach this to your Kemetic priests. Tell them they ain't messing with us over here. Tell them this a deeper level with this shit over here. And I never been to Egypt a day in my life, and tell them I school all of they Kemetic priests. You ain't got to go nowhere to get this knowledge but within your own damn self. The Most High knew everybody wasn't going to be able to go to Egypt. That's why the Most High made this knowledge universal. You can learn it where you at. Some of y'all took 100 trips to Egypt and still can't break a half of this shit down what I'm doing. So, remember that when you say canal, you're saying ka-kneel. And what is the God Happy doing? He's kneeling. The God happy represents the ka, the spirit. And the ka actually kneels once it re-enters the uterus. So the word carnal is carnal. Listen, people, of course you standing up and you walking upright right now. All of us adults, you able to walk and stand upright. But when you die, you gonna kneel down again and be a baby again, just like this picture showing you. See how that baby bending his legs? This is called a fetal position. The baby is the ka. It's the spirit re-entering the body. And it's kneeling every time it's do it. Nature compresses the spirit into a little bitty body. And it compresses you in a swirl. And we call it the fetal position. So understand something. That when you say canal, the baby comes through this canal because the baby is a spirit or a ka that is kneeling to the great mother. As you re-enter the womb of your next mother, you're gonna re-enter that dang on womb with some respect, you fool. Yeah, I called you a fool. I'm just messing with you to wake you up. Because it kind of gets under my skin, right? When we enter the temple, we kneel down with respect when we come unto Christ. That's what we used to do for the woman. We understood what that meant, that the temple was the woman's body. When you re-enter the temple is reincarnation. When you die and you re-enter that temple, your butt all knees shall bow. That's what the Bible tell you. The Bible say every knee shall bow, okay? And that's because when you're born again, nature compresses you in a fetal position. Every knee shall bow. Everybody walking on this earth now had to bow down when they was inside of their mama. Because her pregnant belly is the temple of God. It's the temple of the ka. It's the ka kneel. This is where the ka comes and kneel down to be respawned back into existence. Now I shall take my break. Thank you for that. Hey, while I take my little break, guys, I'll leave you with some music. How about that? And when I get back, I'm going to call out the super chats and we're going to go into the second half of this. Enjoy the music and let me enjoy my little quick break. Thank you guys for being patient with me and allowing me to actually take these breaks because I know that, that is a privilege. Thank you. All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you for saying that my beats are fire. All the beats that you hear in the breaks, I personally produced them. And let's get right back on subject. Let's get right back into it because I don't want to waste you awesome people's time. Now, before we get into this, you got to give me a minute to thank the people with the donations. Shout out to B-Boy Arch. Shout out to my brother Huey P. Shout out to my brother One World, One Hood. And shout out to my brother Sir Drop TV. Do me a favor, guys. Let's get the likes up. And let's go ahead and tweet this out and share it on Facebook. And let me give a shout out to Ashley B. Johnson. And let me give a shout out to Mind's Eye. Thanks everybody for the super chat donations. Now let me go ahead and get back into today's information. Now people, what we looking at is a sorority called the Deltas. And their symbol is the same thing I've been telling you about. Represents the vagina, the delta. And I'm pulling this stuff up because I want to show you something. Now we're going to look at some sexy pictures now. I just got to show y'all how beautiful this is. You see this shape right here? You see this little pie slice shaped like that? That right there is what we call a delta. So that is the sexy part of the woman when you looking at the bathing suits, the panty line and all that. And I'm just showing y'all that to show y'all why we attracted to, like, you hear dudes talk about the camel toes, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? The delta area of a continent is also a place where there's a huge amount of animal attraction, microscopic attraction, and there's a meeting in all of these delta areas. So I'm giving you micro, macro, but at the same time, I want to get back to the God happy to show you how when males started to personify the delta, it became sick. Because look at this God. If you ever pay attention to Happy, this dude got breasts like a woman. Look at him. He got female breasts and he got a belly like he pregnant because they're trying to symbolize fertility. A lot of people don't know that Buddha is not a fat man. Buddha is a pregnant woman. Prior to Buddha, the Asians had a pregnant mother goddess and they replaced her with a fat man. So he's the name Buddha, we already went over it. It's the name, it come from the word bud, and budding is dealing with blossoming or fertility. So the God happy is just another form of Buddha with the pot belly and the boobs. And if you look at Buddha, Buddha is always happy. Buddha is always smiling. Buddha is always happy because Buddha is the God happy. All of this symbolism can be seen on all levels. You just got to associate the words with the symbols like I'm doing now. So you see that this guy, they didn't just play a joke on him. Like, who would want themselves to be painted with a big belly and some breasts? If you was a man, would you want somebody to paint you like this with breasts and some belly? They doing that because it's symbolism. He's a fertility god, so he got to have a pregnant belly and breasts. See, today we don't know how sick this is. We don't really look into these gods deep, how I'm giving you this deep stuff now, because they taught you not to look into it that deep. They want to hide the corruption from you. But when we go back to ancient Kemet and start glorifying all of these pharaohs and all of these gods like this, we got to remember these are all forms of Normer. Here go the fake beard right here on Happy. You see the same beard on the Sphinx as well. It's the same dude. No matter how many different forms they try to give you to appeal to your energy, once you accept any of them forms, all them roads lead to the same place. All roads lead to Rome. So we see Happy is very feminine with breasts, boobs, flowers in his hair because they started to take the role of the woman in the spiritual mythology. The men that rule our world are so sick, they don't want the women to have a place in the spiritual systems. And therefore, the women don't really have a real place in the world because of that, because everything starts on the spiritual plane first. Now we're going to keep on moving. Like I was saying, the word canal is the word carnel. And I was already synced that with the Nile River. We're going to move on. But basically, everybody kneel when they re-enter the temple of the goddess in between lifetimes. All right? They turned that into the church. But the real sanctuary is the fetus. Here's a picture of the god Jupiter Ammon, which is another form of Baal Hammon. Now, let me tell you something else. The name Muhammad is also the name Bahamut. Let me break something down to you, because the God you looking at right now is a form of Muhammad, a form of Eusis, um, a form of, they call Jupiter Iupiter. Remember, the J is silent. This is Ball Hammond right here in another form. And what we're looking at is this dude personify himself as a uterus. Just to show y'all this stuff to see how sick it is. Right here, you got the female reproductive organ. And right here, you have a male personified himself as that organ. And that's how they hid the woman, by replacing her with the Baphomet, which is a she-male. Okay? Because that's what this god basically is. Once you start personifying the womb as a man. Now the name Ball Humming, or excuse me, I'm clipping. Let me cut my mic down. I'm sorry. The name Ball Humming became the name Bahaman, and over time it was Ahaman. And if you look up a god by the name of Aha, you can pull up Ball Humming in a different form. They call him Hor Aha or Aha, A-H-A. That's another name of Menes or the Baphomet, but it was Bahamut. Bahamut. Bahamut became Muhammad. Muhammad over time. So the word Bahamut over time became Muhammad. So the god Muhammad or Allah is the Baphomet. Now, that black box is a form of the uterus. Remember, in order to hide the uterus, you got to replace it with anything but the female. So what's going on in Mecca is they replaced the female uterus with a damn black box. That's how much they care about you, women. I'm telling you now, listen to what I'm telling you. In order to hide this uterus, you replace it with anything but a woman. I showed you yesterday how they replaced the uterus with a bird. They had the bird flapping over Osiris. It's all desecration. Listen, folks, it should not be anything else but the symbol in front of you now. And to change that, you're messing up. It's that simple. Can't no Kemetic priest come up to me and tell me why it's okay to personify the uterus as a bird, as a black box, as a dog, as a goat, as a man. You can't give me a good reason to personify the female uterus as anything other than the uterus. When it say I am, that mean leave me the fuck alone. This is the way I look. This is the way I shape. Quit personifying me. When you personify this organ, it makes it personal when it's universal. See, personifying something, personify has the root word of person. It's to turn this universal organ into a goddamn person called Jesus. So everybody today got more respect for a person that they never met named Jesus than they got from their own mama who they came out of, because that organ was once sacred. But when they personified this organ into a person, then the person now becomes sacred. And the goddamn organ that we call the uterus is now the devil. They turned that to the bull and the goat. So you need to understand the magic of personification and how powerful it is. Over time, with these occultists personifying themselves as the uterus, the reverence of the uterus became to them. They get the power. When people go to church and they stand up and cry and shout and holler because they said Jesus bled for them. They said Jesus went through all that pain so that I could have life. He bled for me and covered me in his blood. They really talking about their mama, y'all. Your mama went through all that pain in the hospital to give you life, and she bled for you, and you came out of her womb covered in her blood. They took all of that stuff that we supposed to look at the woman and say, man, I respect women for what they go through to give life. Man, yo, I respect women. And now we respect Jesus because they started personifying the doggone uterus as Jesus on the cross with his arms spread, sharing his blood. So once they started personifying the female reproductive system as men, we have more respect for these men than the women. So we treat women like shit, but niggas will die for Allah. Niggas will die in the name of Jesus, but they won't even goddamn help their mamas with the grocery bags, man. Mama gave birth to you, and you barely call your mama, but you at church every Sunday thanking Jesus, and it's an imaginary damn dude. Come on, folks. Your mama somewhere rotting away in an old folks' house, but you at church every Sunday showing up for Jesus. Why? How did the women get demoted and these gods took their place in all of their status? I'm showing you now the art of personification. Once this universal organ was personified into this person called Jesus, we have more respect for the person than the universal concept. I'm going to say it again. Once you take a universal concept and personify it, the people will have respect for the person and not the concept. That's where we are today, folks. And that's why I do what I do, to get us back on track. Now, we are 2 hours in, and let me see where I'm at. We see that the Baphomet split time from basically AD and BC can be looked at as before patriarchs ruled the world and after patriarchs ruled the world, which is we're in the time of patriarchy today. We still in the time of the Pa Trinity. When you say patriarch, you're saying patriot. That became the word patriot. What that is a trinity of papas. And I already showed you that. It's called triple phalluses. Now let's get back to the slides, go over some more collages. You see your triple phalluses or your patrinity or your patriot, patrio. The word patrio became patriot. And if you look at the New England Patriots stadium, let me show you something. See, the New England Patriots got a big old phallus at their stadium. It's at Gillette Stadium. Let me show you. Here it is. Right there at the New England Patriots, right? Because the word patriot is the patrio, the trinity of papas. This is what we're looking at here. The three phalluses, the triple phallus, or the trinity of the papas. And the Patriots, look what they got at their doggone stadium. Soon as you pull up in Gillette Stadium, they greet you with a big old cock. And guess what else? They got it layered in 3 tiers. Here go the first floor. Here go the second floor. And a steel cap for the 3rd floor. So this is 3 cocks put together. What you looking at with this one phallus is made out of 3 smaller phalluses. Here go the first phallus right here. That's the foundational phallus. The second phallus sitting on top of that. Here go the 3rd phallus. So you got 3 phalluses, just like you got in the top right corner, and that's called a trinity of papas, a patrio or a patriot. A patriot, that's what Brahma is. So they giving you the symbolism right in front of your face. Let's go to some more. Remember that this is the double axe, right? It's the hammer of Thor. And remember that it is the Jane cosmos. And remember that is also a god called Janus. And remember that the female uterus has a canal, and we went over that with the Nile River. Ka, Nile, is the spirit kneeling down into the temple of the woman, which is the fetus. To be able to fit through that vaginal canal, you got to become small. You got to kneel down and become a child again. And this is the story of life. Becoming a child, becoming a wise adult, and growing old as a wise grown up, then being born again, got to do it over as a child again. All right, that's the story of life. Ka now, or the Ka kneeling inside of the temple of the woman over and over again in between lifetimes. So this is the tubal cain symbol. And if you look at the tubal cain symbol, what is it? It's a key. It's a huge key. All right. If you look at a key, the old keys that they give you, I showed it to you yesterday. It looked like a phallus, and it's all phallus worship. The key, the woman is the keyhole. All right. She's the same thing that the key is, but she's inverted. So the man and the woman got the same sexual organ. It's just one is on the inside, one is on the outside. So the key is the phallus and the keyhole is the vagina. But the key is able to fit perfectly in the keyhole because they the same thing, just space and counter space. This is the symbol of the key. As it pierces the knot, this is sex. This represents the womb. This knot, remember when we get married, we tie the knot. We tie the knot. That's all dealing with the woman and fertility. The tied knot is the umbilical cord. It connects the mother with the child. And the phallus penetrates the womb. These two arms are the two arms of the uterus. I just showed you the uterus, and it had the two arms or the two horns on it. You can see them here. In the middle is the vagina canal. That's where we enter. That's where the man sticks his phallus at. And this is what this is, sex symbolism. Now, when you look at the male's phallus going into the female's vagina, the entire symbol itself shaped like a human body with the eyes and the doggone arms. But it can also be looked at as two balls and the uterus. But you can take these same symbols to create an actual human. See, here's the thing. It takes the male reproductive system and a female reproductive system to create another human biologically. But I can get in Microsoft Paint right now and take a phallus and a vagina and take them symbols and rearrange them to make a human body right now. And I'll do it if we get a vote. I'll open up Paint and do it right now. If you want me to do that, hit 1. If you get my point and I don't gotta waste the time doing it, hit 2. But if you just want to see me do it, hit 1. If you want me to move on, hit 2. Because what I can do is I can prove my point that the stuff can be proven in all aspects. You can make a human in sacred geometry and in biology with the same symbols. So when the man come together with the woman with the reproductive systems, they make a real biological human. But I can get a sheet of paper, and if I draw a phallus and a vagina on the paper, I can take just those symbols and rearrange them to make a human body with them. And look like we got more twos than ones. So I'm gonna just move on, and maybe in another lecture or another live stream, you can remind me and I'll do it on that one. So let me move on. Remember that this tubal cain is the key going into the keyhole. This is the key entering the keyhole. And that's what the janitor represent. Remember that the root word of janitor is Jan, and that come from this God, which is Jesus. Remember that Janus carried the keys, just like Jesus carried the keys. And that's how these guys get their name, because they are the ground keepers and cleaners. And remember that the Jain cosmology is the Europe, is the this Jain cosmology is Hindu. See why I like this is because it's not personification. Now I will say this, and I'm not trying to be racist. We find the first forms of personification in Europe and in Egypt. This is where we started getting corrupted. Remember, personification may be beautiful and it may be necessary at times, but it does represent the fall of consciousness. When we start personifying these symbols into butterflies, and like if you look at this is the cosmos. This ain't a personification. This is a layout and this is unbiased. Can't nobody get confused with this. When you look at this and somebody say, what is this? You're going to start talking about the different planes that people live on, the sun and the moon. You're going to start talking about Earth and Mother Nature. But once you personify this and turn it into this, and a child asks you about this, you ain't going to be talking about Mother Nature no more. Now you're going to be talking about this damn dude. So they take the glory away from Mother Nature with personification. They personify Mother Nature as a man. So everybody talking about these males today, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, all of these gods are the talk of the town. Well, ain't nobody talking about Mother Nature, and that's what's sustaining us. This is how they did it, folks. They took an unbiased symbol that was universal to everybody and personified it and made it biased to a certain group and a certain culture and a certain sex, being the male. You see what I'm saying? So this is Janus, and remember he represents the anus in this homosexual world, and you see why the name Janus is associated with the janitor, because one more time, Janus carried the keys of life just like Jesus. But we know who really carried the key of life. What is the key? What is the real key of life? Here go the real key of life right here, the uterus. See, the Ankh is said to be the key of life, but the Ankh is nothing but the uterus. When you look at the arch at the top of the Ankh, here we go, the top of the Ankh got an arch. Here it is right here. Then it got two lines coming out of it and a vertical pole. Here it is, the female reproductive system. Of course it is, but it's called a key of life. It's called a key of life. This the same key that Jesus held up, right? Because they want you to think Jesus is the woman. They want you to think Jesus is the woman. He can't be holding the key of life. See how this shaped like a key? So the key is the uterus. But here's the thing. It can be real confusing because when you look at a key and a keyhole, and we talk masculine and feminine, the key would literally be the masculine, and the keyhole would be the feminine. And I already went over why that would be. But the reason a lot of people associate the Ankh with the female reproductive system is because the sacred geometry I'm showing you now. The arch, the horizontal cross is all parallel. It's the same thing. That's why they do it. But the key itself would be a masculine thing. A key is penetrating a hole, which is the womb or the keyhole. All right. So just remember that, you know what I'm saying? A key would be masculine, but the Ankh, a lot of people see that as feminine, even though the Ankh is called a key of life. It can be confusing, but the best way to simplify it is to remember what I said. The uterus and the phallus is the same organ, just the inversion. One is the polar opposite. That's all it is. That'll help you remember it. We are the same entity. That's why the key fits perfectly in the keyhole. because we are the same. Just like your left brain may be different from your right brain. Your left brain may be the opposite of your right brain, but they both come together to make you. The women and men are the same person, just the two different halves of that entity. That's why when we fall in love with a woman, we become one body. Because man, as a single man, you walking around 50% of what you could be with a woman to complement you. With the right woman, you access 100% of your full self. No human can access their full self without a companion. Nature designed it that way so that we'll always bond with each other. Nature didn't intend for you to be able to go lock yourself in a damn closet and become some guru. Even when you see the Tibetan monks, they still got people they commune with. They got women, they got brothers and all that around them. Nature ain't intent for you to be a loner. So to perfect yourself, you can't do it without communing with your significant other in the form of that woman, that great woman behind you. All right, let's move on. Now we see that the double act, we already went over this double act. It's Thor's hammer. It's the Jane Cosmos. We already went over the janitor and we went over Janus. Just want to keep on moving. We'll talk about Papa Lekba and Bohemian Grove in a future one. I want to wrap this one up. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut a lot of stuff that we don't need anymore. And we're gonna hop back to our collage. We're gonna get ready to wrap this thing up. Stay with me. We ain't done just yet though. Still, we almost done, but not quite. All right, here's the next collage we got to go over. Oh, actually, where did it go? Excuse me. We're at 2 hours and 30 minutes. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm sorry. I lied. I need to end this right now. If I go into this next portion right now, it will probably go on too long. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a sneak peek into the next section. In the next section, what we'll be doing is we'll be syncing the God best. We'll be picking back up on the God best, showing you that the God best is the ancient African baboon worship and the baboons around ancient Africa. Also, we went over Rafiki being a baboon and the Lion King carrying a scepter. In the next section, we'll be syncing all these deities together with Bess and the Baphomet, the baboon, and we will be syncing him with Horus as well. As you can see in this collage, we'll be going over this in the next section, so you don't want to miss that. We'll be going over this collage, syncing Bess with the baboon and the Baphomet, also with Horus. We'll be going over this collage, syncing them all with the Pope, which is a form of Dagon, and the god Oans, which is another form of Dagon. You see Atum with the bent scepter. The bent scepter is the Tubal Cain symbol. Pan is holding his scepter in the form of a flute. Everyone don't have a, see look, if you look at Atum, he got what's called a bent scepter. And that's what the Pope got. The Pope got a bent scepter. They call his a crucifix. The god Dagon didn't have neither of them. He just bent his hand like that. He just bent his hand. So it's different ways you can do the symbol. If you look at Rafiki, he just got a stick. That's what Moses had. The staff is the stiff phallus, an erected cock. If you look at the god Odin, he got a spear. Same thing. If you look at the god Pan, he blowing on a flute, which is very homosexual because his flute represents the staff or the phallus of the first king, and he got it in his mouth. We're going to be going over that in the next one. We're going to be going over this collage in the next one, syncing the god Happy, talking more about the god Happy and the god Apis with Lady Liberty and Narmer. We're going to be going over this collage. Basically, this is the line of Judah. And why does the line of Judah carry a staff? For the same reason, all of these deities carry a staff. The Lion of Judah is another version of all the deities you see on this collage. The Lion of Judah carrying a staff is nothing but Jesus holding his cock. Remember, I showed you that Narmer walked around holding his cock. This was a deity that went around, and every time you saw him in artwork, man, he had an erected phallus holding it in his hand. You see? But today they don't want it to be so vague. So instead of, remember, Menes is the Lion of Judah. He is Jesus. He is Pan. Remember, Jesus is the lamb, and the lamb is Pan, the goat god. It's the same God. All right. The king was able to rape any woman he was wanted to have sex with, even if it was your wife. You wasn't gonna stop the king. So when you say rapture, that means rape and capture, and that's what Pan was. The Christians waiting on a rapture. That in the old days, that meant your daughters and your wife get raped, dude. And if the king liked it, the husband, the king raped the husband too, because they was often bisexual. So it was a sick world when these first families ruled. They didn't rule with peace and freedom. They did what they wanted to do with the peasants, treated them like shit. It was medieval times, you know. You just need to understand the psychology of what this was. So instead of them having Jesus holding his hard cock in his hand like they got minis doing up there, they just give it to you this way. They just give it, hold up, where is it? They give it to you this way. They got Jesus in the form of a lion holding a staff, but it's really Norma holding his cock. It's the same thing. And we'll be going over all of this in the next portion. And we working our way up to Papa Lekba. And when we get into Papa Lekba, we really gonna get deep. We're gonna be going over this collage here. As you can see, sinking some more of the tubal cain symbol. Excuse me. Gonna be sinking more of the tubal cain symbolism with the phallic cults. Here again, just a recap. We'll be going over all of these in the future, especially this collage, which gives you a side-by-side view of Hermes mixed with Priapus and Serapis. This is a good collage because it got a bunch of different ones on there you wouldn't think. You got Pan in the form of Apollo in the bottom right, and Cocopelli in the form of Menes, you know, with his erected phallus in the form of a little figurine. That's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about Cocopelli, then we're going to work our way up to this collage, which is the goat of Mendes. And you see this goat all over the walls of Kemet because they've been worshiping the Baphomet. All of these Egyptian folks that's trying to get you to glorify Egypt and Kemet, and all of these folks, they getting you to worship the Baphomet. I don't want to start calling names, but you know who they are in this black conscious community trying to pan you back to Egypt. When they take you back to glorifying Egypt, remember that the Egyptians worship the Baphomet, and that's what you doing. And this is, listen, this ain't nothing you think you just gonna do and it ain't gonna be no repercussions with this. The Baphomet actually alters your spiritual chemistry. If you die under these spells, guess who? Your soul is owned by the Baphomet. No, it's not a real goat that's gonna eat your soul up. It's just that whatever state of awareness, of spiritual awareness that you die in determines where you go on an ethereal plane. So people that believe in Christ and believe in heaven, guess what? While they wait to be spawned into a new reality for 9 months, they're dreaming that they're walking streets of gold. If you're a Christian and you thought you was gonna go to hell, guess what? For 9 months while you sleep inside of your mama, see, when you die, you become a baby waiting to be born again. You basically in a dream world for 9 months, and you wake up out of that dream in a hospital into another dream called life, what we live in now. When you die, you wake up in another reality. It's a big continuum. But for them 9 months, You dreaming. And that's what they said when you die, how your whole life flash in front of your face and you see all of this stuff. That take place over a span of 9 months. When that whole trip is over with, you're born in a hospital with a new mama. But that whole experience that they talking about out the death, it takes place for 9 months on a physical world. But for you, it may just be 1 hour. You for you may be a nigga walking to the store and they shot you up and you died. And when you died, you saw yourself going down a spiral and you felt this energy pulling your spirit. And then your whole life started flashing across your face. And you started going into these alternate dream state realities about your different lifetimes and stuff. To you, all of that is happening in like 2, 3 hours. Like you just got shot and killed. All of this is happening within 2, 3 hours and it's over. But when you wake up, you realize it was like 9 months. You was actually being born again, sleeping inside of a womb, having a dream, and you woke up in another body. This is how the consciousness is shifted and transitioned from one body to the next. Nature is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Because when you leave this body, she lets you reflect on a dream state, on a like a fourth dimension. And it's there where you calibrate your consciousness to prepare it for your new body. And by the time that happened, you waking up from that dream into that new body. So it's nothing to be scared of. But the thing is, when you die and you got all of this Baphomet fears and oh hellfires, your experience may manifest your beliefs. Meaning, if you believe in hell and you don't think you're gonna make it to heaven and you believe the Bible, for them 9 months, if you waiting for yourself to be respawned in another body, you may be having a nightmare that you burning in hell. Or if you think you made it to heaven, you'll be dreaming that you walking streets of gold and all that. But when the dream over, you'll be right back on a plane in a hospital being smacked on the ass in some kind of earthly plane with the four elements. But in between that, we occupy time in the dream state as our body is prepared and stuff. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. When you die with all of these spooky ideas about the Baphomet and all that and how they hid the uterus with all this spookism, it alters our energy. So whatever state you in when you breathe your last breath is very important, man. I want you to think about something before we go. Some ancient civilizations live their entire lives preparing for death. I want you to think about that now. You better stop and you better think about that now. Some ancient cultures live their entire life preparing for death, making sure that they was in a peaceful mental state before they breathe their last breath. It's a reason these religions and programmers around the world want you to believe spooky shit about the afterlife. Can you imagine what's gonna be going through some people's mind on their deathbed? Oh my God, they're gonna be having the worst fears, man, because they don't know what we know. That, man, hey, when you breathe your last breath, it's all good. You're just gonna be born again. You did this before. I mean, you was inside of your mama before. You did this before to get to this plane. What make you think it's gonna be some big difference? Nature don't change the routine because it's a perfect routine. It works. You're gonna do it again when you leave this body. But they don't want you to know that. Because if everybody knew that, you'll have some warriors around here protecting their daughters and their mamas, and they wouldn't be scared of dying because they know that them wounds that they protecting, they gonna be born again through that wound. But today, you got men disrespecting the women and they dying for their God. They'll die for Allah, die for Jesus because they think they gonna be born again in some heaven through these male gods. So that's why I'm teaching you it's important. This is why the men won't rise up and be brave and take back what's rightfully ours. because we scared of dying. Most of the men think they gonna burn in hell. Think, hey man, you only got one life to live. If everybody knew, hey man, when you die, you just gonna be born again, it ain't gonna stop. You wouldn't have no fears of death to the point where you'll be so willing to sacrifice your life for a greater cause. Think about it. Men sacrifice their lives for these stupid gods today, but they won't sacrifice their life to not being a slave. A nigga will go fly, a damn nigga will put a bomb on his chest and blow himself up in the name of Allah, but won't do it to go and overthrow the government that's oppressing his children. Tell me we ain't corrupted and indoctrinated. Tell me we ain't been conditioned. So we're going to be going over all of this in the next show. We're going to be breaking down Capricorn. Here's a picture of Capricorn. If you look at Capricorn, it's blending Dagon with the Baphomet, because the Baphomet wasn't just a goat god. At sometimes they had him half man, half fish. That's why I keep showing you the god Oans and the god Dagon, the fish gods that's shaped like a phallus. They blended the goat with the fish. It's all the Baphomet. So Capricorn being a goat mixed with a fish is because Jesus is the fish and the lamb. Remember, Jesus is also a fish too. If you look at these Christian cars, they personify Jesus as a fish too. So again, all of these gods are shapeshifters. They can take many forms. Jesus takes the form of a fish. Jesus also takes the form of a lamb. All of this is Baphometic stuff, y'all. This is Baphometic symbolism. So Capricorn is a blending of the fish and the lamb. And the fish and the goat is all Jesus symbolism. So when you say Capricorn, the sheep, goats, and lambs are all part of the Capricorn family. Sound familiar? A guy named Kaepernick. Kaepernick worships Capricorn and the Baphomet. And Kaepernick kneels down on his knee like Capricorn. When you see Kaepernick taking the knee, he's becoming Capricorn. If you look at Capricorn, Capricorn takes a knee like Kaepernick. Kaepernick is Capricorn. Capricorn is Kaepernick taking a knee. Is all esoteric science. He's the lamb that's being sacrificed in the public, trying to take on an ethnic cause, like he's standing up like some kind of Messiah, but he's really another Baphomet shield imposter. Okay? So we got a lot to go over. We're going to be showing you how Capricorn is the Sphinx. Look at the Sphinx. Look at Capricorn. People, we got a lot to go over. There was a car called a Caprice, and the symbol of the Caprice was an Impala. If you from the South, you know that the damn Caprice ain't nothing but the Impala. The Caprice is the same car as the Impala. Ain't no differences. It's literally the same car. And the Impala is the Baphomet. Okay? Before we get out of here, I'm just showing you what we're going to be going over now. There's a car called a Chevy Impala, and the Impala is a Caprice. Now here's the Impala. It's a real animal. It's a ram called an Impala ram. This is what they named the car, the Caprice, after. Another name for the Impala is a Caprice. So the car company called Chevy is because Chevy means Christ. Chevy is the chevron or the crest or the crest. The crest is the Christ. The lamb is the Impala, which is the Caprice, which is Capricorn. The Caprice is Capricorn. We got a lot to go over. I ain't trying to teach this right now. We're going to get into it on the next one, showing you how Norma is the Norma is the Sphinx. Norma is Baal, and Baal is Ashtaroth. And we're going to be breaking all of this down. Make sure that you stay tuned for the second part. We're going to be getting into the Minotaur. And we got so much to go over. I just hope to see you guys there. Now, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I know we got to get out of here. I'm going to prepare everything to get ready for the debate with Vegan Warrior, because me and him got a debate coming up. Again, Bro Sanchez versus Vegan Warrior, 4 o'clock Pacific time, out of Africa theory. Bro Sanchez versus Vegan Warrior debate is going down 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, out of Africa theory, right here on Bro Sanchez Live. Been putting in a lot of work for y'all. All right. Shout out to Flat Accord Music. Much love to everybody that sent in super chat donations with the brother Flat Accord Music. I love you all. Everybody viewing the show, hitting the like button, supporting what we do, whether you can donate monetarily or not. I love you, and I just want to say I appreciate your support. And I know I tell you that a lot. I know it get annoying, like, damn, bro, Sanchez always with that mushy shit. I can't help it. It's just who I am. They say it's because I'm a Sagittarius. So I got to re-question my beliefs on astrology. It's some truth to it. Hey, shout out to my brother Dolo the Pilot Man, who kicking down doors with that astrology. And shout out to my brother Masterpiece. Y'all got to subscribe to Masterpiece. You missing out, man. The brother be up late doing live painting. You talk about some therapeutic. You're missing out. Subscribe to the brother. He also give lectures just like I'm doing with mind-blowing information just like what I'm doing. So subscribe to the brother. He has an excellent series called Green Streams that he got going every Thursday, and he will be doing a green stream Thursday right after the shows that we got going here. So I hope we're following the green streams. Is powerful information there. All right. So next show gonna be powerful, as you can see, and I'll see y'all at 4 o'clock. Peace and much love to everybody.